All right, guys, it's time for another certification test. Now, this certification test is going to be for one Frederick Veilleux and his German Shepherd. Before we jump into this, I did read Frederick's email, and I am familiar with the dog because all the people taking the Pro Trainer course need to familiarize us with the dog that they will be taking the course with. So this is Fred's personal dog. Before he started training online with us, the dog did have some fear reactivity and some general nervousness in public. Now, Fred is in a very remote northern area in Canada, so the challenge for him is finding a busy area. Now, he said that he traveled actually to this town so that he could get this footage, so we're going to go through this now, and we're going to see if it's a good product or not.
I can hear my dog's mic. He's soon at.
So let's restart that.
I can hear my dog's mic. He's soon at. And I trained him using the showcase season. In the past 2 weeks, we've been training and getting ready for a Pro Trainer certification. I think I'm ready to give it a shot. So here we go.
Nice looking German Shepherd. So I guess first off, Fred's going to show some loose leash. He's definitely in a northern town. So the dog shouldn't be pulling on the leash. You can see the dog show some interest. There's a little arousal, but he's controlling himself, which is what we want to see. Let's turn this down a little bit. I hope you guys might have gotten some bad feedback from the sound there. Okay, so the loose leash walking should be demonstrated under distraction for 30 seconds. I think Fred has done that. Now the dog kind of stayed next to him, but I didn't see a heel command, so there's nothing wrong. Like, I don't point people because their dog does stay next to them, but he does not have to in the loose leash walking, just to be real clear. Good. I like that, you know, when Fred halts, the dog stops and looks at him. That's important. That shows that the dog is keyed in with the handler and that the dog is well aware of what the handler is doing. So Fred has definitely exceeded his 30 seconds now on the loose leash. Now, it's not wrong to show more, but he does need to get to the rest of the test. So we're already 2 minutes in. So, I mean, the dog's showing a sit. That's good, under distraction. But still, on the leash, we need to see that dog come off leash. Dog definitely knows who the cameraman or woman is. He's like, hey, are you coming? All right, Fred, leash off. Okay, so we're getting to it. Fred's got the coffee cup. He's going to be doing the coffee test. That's my little thing. So I guess we're starting with a sit, stay under distraction. So you can see there the dog got a little bit like, oh, concerned those people were coming, but he controlled himself. That is actually big. You know, Fred cannot impact how the dog always feels, because different dogs have different levels of nerve strength. And you can see the dog surely can get a little bit nervous, especially when daddy's out of the picture. But what's the most important thing is, what does the dog do when he's nervous? Does he run? Does he fall apart? Does he become reactive? Or does he control himself and trust his training? This dog trusted his training. So there's a recall. Nice speed there. Very attentive. We like seeing that. Heel command. Fred gave the nonverbal heel command by tapping his right side there. So I guess the dog is a right side dog. So now I think Fred is going to show us 4 minutes of uninterrupted healing. So far I like the behavior of the dog. You can see the tiniest signs that he is a little uncomfortable with strange people around him. Now, considering where Fred lives, That's also understandable. This is not a dog that lives in a city. This is not a dog that would see people a lot on his daily life. And he's also a dog that you can see does carry a little bit of nerve. But again, we all have dogs that can carry nerves. If you're a professional dog trainer, and this is a certification to become a professional dog trainer, and you can't train a dog that has nerves, you're not going to certify with us. Like it's not going to be good. So definitely distractions, definitely an environment that's probably about as busy as Northern Ontario can be right now. I know we're dealing, as you can see by my getup, I'm not in Northern Ontario, guys. I'm in Southern Ontario, and it is freezing. It's negative 10 degrees Celsius here. And he's in the north. I'm wondering what it was that day. Maybe negative 20 or something. Miserable. Showing some pace changes, showing some direction changes. Dog stays attentive, ears are up, tail in a neutral position, aware of the environment, but also hyper aware of where the handler's at. This is what I want to see. Halts, the dog should sit on the halt, so that is demonstrated. So far, so good, Fred. So far, so good. Let's see what else we see here. Fred filmed this upright, so this is the biggest screen I can give you guys. If I could make it a little bigger, I would. Another nice halt shown. So it's getting a little quieter. There's not so much stuff going on around. The whole purpose of this is it should be effortless. We shouldn't see excessive feedback from the handler. The handler's only allowed one visible correction and one visible reward. There's no editing of the video allowed, just to remind you of the certification standards, and it should be excellent. I've already failed somebody who sent me a video where they were constantly checking in with the dog and engaging with the dog. It needs to be effortless, just as Fred is showing. He's carrying his coffee, he's going for a walk. Isaiah, when he certified, he had his phone out, he was chilling. This is what we need to see. We need to see people just confident with their dog, not always having to check in and engage with the dog, that the dog effortlessly knows his job and with minimal feedback from his handler will maintain the place that he is supposed to be in all the obedience and control himself under distraction. You can see that the dog is taking in the environment. The dog is not excessively engaged with the handler, which isn't normal either, right? Like, we want to see, most normal dogs aren't going to stare excessively at the handler, and unless you have a dog that's highly biddable and food motivated or toy motivated, you're going to get, most normal dogs are like this, looking around, there's people around, there's cars. So you can see Fred did a little check in there, very subtle. He touched the dog's head, right? Just reminding the dog, hey, you're with me. Wasn't a ton, but it was a subtle check-in with the dog. And I like seeing trainers that are aware of this, that are aware of how to subtly communicate with their dog. Not everything has to be a big deal. It should be subtle. So there we have another dog passing by. You can see an excessive arousal. Not an excessive arousal. You could see arousal, like Fred's dog did become excited, ears up, head up. Fred avoided slightly that dog. So like when we compare to like a K Choi, for instance, who certified just oh my God, did these two guys hit each other? Those two cars look like they hit each other. Anyway, if you compare those two, it's like K's dog had like other dogs running up on it. And I don't know how Fred's dog would fare under that circumstance. It would be interesting to see, but definitely something to keep in mind. I don't know how many dogs he's going to run into in this northern town. In the spirit of Fred's video, I'm wearing my trapper's hat, my Northern Ontario trapper's hat. The bustling metropolis of wherever he is right now. Look at that. There you got the four-wheeler on the tracks going by. This is Northern Ontario. So again, Fred is excessively showing, he's well in excess of his 4 minutes. So, I don't mind when people show a little more. He's definitely exceeded what he needs to show from a healing standpoint. Now we need to start to see some other things. He already showed a sit stay. He needs to show down stay, down in motion, place command. We need to see some more recalls. I think he's only shown 2 recalls so far, so we need to see some recalls. Now here, look, I know how cold that ground is. Now the dog seems to be fine. If at this point the handler said, look, I'm not going to make my dog put his ass on the ground any longer. Again, these are Northern Ontario dogs, right? These dogs are used to the cold, so it's not a big problem. But if a handler was in extreme temperatures and said, look, I'm not going to make my dog do X, Y, and Z, that's perfectly acceptable from a testing perspective, as long as they explain it and there's a reason for it. So again, you see very consistent healing. You see, Fred's dog show the nice behavior that you want to see. There's no complaints here. All right, Fred. We're going to do a send. Send to place. Success. Good. Now, there is a short... he has to show place on 2 separate objects, and one needs to be a long distance place under distraction. So I would assume this is the distraction, and I would assume this is our long distance place command. You can definitely hear stuff going on around Fred. Fred did tell me where he was in Northern Ontario, but I could not remember. So there's a recall. Good job. And there's definitely distractions. People. You can hear a dog barking in the background. Not sure where that dog is. So Fred's freeing his dog, showing complete confidence next to a road. Recall, free. I like to see that. I've said it before. I want to see dogs that can just be. When a trainer can show their dog just being, and they don't always have to keep that dog in obedience, that's what we want to see. So a nice recall to heel there. Fred's got to show it down. Now, for me, with this dog, because it's a German Shepherd, I'd make him like lie down in a snowbank. I wouldn't make him lie down on the cement, because believe it or not, putting him in a snowbank would actually be a little more comfortable for him. But this dog looks like he's not at all bothered by the temperatures, so maybe it wasn't that cold. Sometimes it can be like just -2, -3 degrees Celsius, or it could be -20. It's hard to say. Depends on the day he filmed it. It looks like there's some sun, so that's good. And it looks like it's not too steamy out, when every breath is just a cloud of smoke. Really nice looking German Shepherd. I like a good looking classic, just a classic style of German Shepherd, the black and the red. Just a beautiful dog. I like seeing nice looking German Shepherds like this. So that's a down. You know what? I just glanced away when he made that down. I'm going to go back and watch that down again. That was a down in motion. Excellent. So he had to show it down in motion, so he did show it. We're getting towards the end of Fred's video here. We only have a few minutes left, guys. Oops. Oops. I'm just trying to get rid of this whatever. All right. Good. And he's showing his long distance downstay. That's what we like to see, guys. This is the standard. We are the standard. This is the standard. So far, so good, Fred. I really like the acceleration of his dog on the recall. That dog really likes coming to the handler. Look at that. Nice, effortless break to the free. I like seeing dogs that effortlessly break from the handler and then really come back with full power and speed. It really shows a nice relationship that the dog understands very clearly. Okay, go play, and now come back when you're called. And you can see the dog is just as happy to go as he is to come. And it's a nice relationship that you can see between the dog and the handler so far. Trust. People ask about trust. People ask about relationship. This is relationship right here. Not giving your dog excessive bribery and always like having to put treats in his mouth. That does not create relationship. Whose dog do you think loves them better? You know, the lady that has to give her dog a treat every 3 seconds, otherwise it'll just screw off, and has to keep it on a leash all the time and can only release it in fenced areas. Or this gentleman right here, you know, who's trained with us online and is walking around with a coffee in his hand. His dog looks at him with love and trust in his eyes. His dog's behavior shows complete, you know, trust and concern for you know, what his handler wants and what his handler is doing. Having a little bit of the itches now. Reminds that he let the dog itch, and then he reminded the dog what to do. No problem. Nice send to place again. So far, I'm pleasantly surprised. You know, I wasn't sure how much distractions Fred was going to be able to have based on his conversations, and you know, he was telling me about, you know, the struggles he had with the dog's reactivity and nerves, and you know, I wasn't sure what the product was going to be like. You know, and now I'm very pleasantly surprised. I didn't think it was going to be this good. You know, he showed that he had sent me some nice videos of the dog, like kind of by himself, and it was really nice. But, you know, I know just how quickly just a crowd of people and being in a new place can really change the dog's performance. But you can see that Fred really adequately prepared his dog for this, that the dog, you know, so far has done really, really well here. This is functional obedience. This is freedom training. Transition to the down command, transition back to sit. Excellent job. And it's all verbal on cue. You can see not excessive nonverbal communication. Fred's putting his coffee down. What's he doing? Oh, he's going to play with the dog. And that's a nice thing, you know. Nobody else is really, like, I know the other people have structured play, but Fred is showing that his dog is willing to play with him and do, you know, a little bit of extra work for the toy, and there's nothing wrong with that. You know, he already basically, he did complete all the, before he pulled the ball out, he completed all the things he should. Okay, so that's Fred. That's Fred in a nutshell. Okay, good job, Fred. Mr. Oh, what happened there? Good. All right. Change this. Okay. All right, guys. I'm very happy with Fred's work. This test is certainly a pass. I think Fred really shows what we want a pro trainer to be able to do with a dog, and I think the relationship that he has with this dog is beyond question. Yeah, I'm very happy to say that Fred's getting a pass. I am going to give, if I had to give Fred a mark, and this is a pass-fail test, but I always kind of give people, you know, my feedback. I think for what I would like to have seen Fred's dog around other dogs a little more. Other than that, the obedience was quite effortless. He did have the e-collar on the dog, but he never used it. So handlers are allowed to have the e-collar on the dog, but they are only allowed one use of it. I never saw him reach for the remote or use it, or nor did the dog ever show a correction. And again, one reward is allowed as well, just to stop people from luring the dog excessively and just giving the dog a treat every 3 seconds. That's not realistic either. We want realistic obedience. He pulled the ball at the end, but I didn't see it as a reward so much as more like, hey, showing a little bit of structured play with the dog, so on and so forth. There's no points off for that. For me, Fred is a solid 8.5 out of 10. You know, the only, like, look, at the end of the day, like, he really showed the minimum standard and then some. You know, I have, like, other than the critiques that I've already said, I'm very happy with Fred. I think he did a great job, and I look forward to seeing what he can do with other dogs. Congratulations, Fred. You are a pass on the Shield Certified Pro Trainer practical test. Beyond a shadow of a doubt, you can definitely functionally freedom train any dog.